What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another
welcome
episode. What do you say?
I was going to say, welcome in.
Welcome to another episode of Swan Hockey Live. I am Eric Swanwick. I am joined by Jimmy Skillz, back for the second time. Jimmy, what's going on?
Not much, man. Didn't look like Jimmy Skillz in the early morning demo skate with Swain's Hockey Skills and Development this morning. Looked like very much like a third, fourth line guy.
How'd that? What were you demoing? Can you say or no?
Yeah, we were just doing some. I mean, there's some videos of us doing some drills and stuff that is going to come out. It's going to be pretty cool. I don't want to go over too much, spoil it, but just fun experience getting out, starting to put content on. Right.
And you said you looked like or didn't look like a fourth line guy.
Did look
very
like much so. Yeah. Very much. Hopefully I have the climb of Zach Hyman and just slowly play next to Connor McDavid one day and just tap a few pucks in. But it was bad. Early morning skates, man.
What time did you guys skate?
What time we skate? 9 o'clock? It's not really early morning compared to some skates. I'm kind of being a baby. But got there. I have a new skate profile on the one skate that I'm testing out. So every time I felt like I was going to fall over. So trying to shoot good content. I told Ryan that he probably doesn't want to put me in the film because when people realize they have me for a lesson, they're probably going to want their money back. It's as simple as that.
Jimmy refund.
Jimmy refund as well. Yeah. Nick Swain looked really good. Definitely showed his Division III caliber. Ryan, he's the Swain's Hockey Skills guy, so he obviously looked great. But Jimmy Skillz, man, when you have a name like that, you have to perform. And
I was going to ask you how you like the profile, but I guess you didn't like it.
It's not that I didn't like it.
Like, it has to take some getting used to.
Yeah, it's definitely getting used to. It's more so like I'm on my toes more. So, I mean, it's a little bit, it's definitely, toe picks were a dime a dozen. You could have invested in a toe pick with me at the beginning of the session. You would have came out a millionaire, but it was a rough session.
Oh, jeez.
But,
nice.
Yeah, man, no, just trying to put things out there. And I think Ryan has really took it to the next level and trying to become a better marketer of actually what he's giving people on a day-to-day basis. So, and obviously in business and with hockey and trying to get people in, like, and be able to really develop them, like it's a really important thing. He does some pretty unique stuff, just like you, right? Where it's not like
he might be on here in a little bit. I sent him.
Yeah,
I know he's running around right now, but
hopefully he doesn't, because he's going to chirp the shit out of me. If we talk about this session, he's going to chirp.
He might come on. I don't know. Some point during the course of this hour.
Listen. He is my boss, so I kind of have.
Me and Billy went almost 2 hours last week. Me and Bill
Who?
Underwood. Bill
really?
Underwood. Yeah.
Wow.
2 hours last week.
That's crazy.
It was a lot of really good stuff. Like we were talking about
a lot of reps
and the stuff with Major Junior and all that kind of stuff. Some of the different changes that went on in junior hockey. And there's been a lot of them. Like there was a lot of stuff that we didn't even get to just because we spent 2 hours and there was a lot of stuff that we didn't even get to. But before we go any further, I just want to, if anybody that's new here, welcome. This is completely interactive. Throw up your comments, any questions. We'll try to get to them. You can comment, on YouTube, on Facebook, or you can comment in the Swan Hockey Discord server in the live podcast channel. And let us know who you are, where you're commenting from, where you or your player plays. And feel free to ask your questions. Your guys' comments kind of, drive this thing. So don't be shy. Just jump right in. So me and Bill were talking about the a lot of the changes in junior hockey, like or potential changes, like the biggest one being the NCAA and the major junior, and what what could happen, if the NCAA allows the major junior guys to play, like how that could shake up, the whole landscape and everything.
I would love to. I got to go watch that one again because
there's a lot. Episode 10. We're 11 episodes into this now, which is crazy.
Wow. They say if you get over 5, you're probably becoming a millionaire one day. So just gotta get over the hump of 5. Usually
we're over 5. But yeah, it was like a really like in-depth episode because like we were talking about how how like it's bigger than hockey, because once you do something for hockey, it opens up Pandora's box to football, basketball, right? And that's where those are the big money sports, right? Like, that's
100%.
where with TV contracts and everything like that. So it's kind of like, you got to be careful what you do with the hockey, and then same thing, like, what they're doing there with, with football and basketball and everything now, it's, bleeding over into hockey. But then if you get carried away with it with hockey, because the one big difference that the hockey has is that, major junior, you can be on an NHL contract and play, right?
Okay.
So it opens up the Pandora's box of, okay, can, if there's no problem with, a major league, if there's no problem with a pro player playing in the quote unquote amateur league or whatever you want to call it, well, if that's no problem, then what's the problem of an NFL team sending a guy back to college, right? And you have an NFL quarterback playing Division I college football, right? It's like it's just crazy how, like, when you look at the big picture, how much it how much goes into it. And then, again, so like, Bill and I dove way deep into that last week, and we didn't even get to some of the other stuff that,
it's a long conversation, right? Like, there's so much stuff changing.
Yeah,
like,
and even just like the hypotheticals, because the hypotheticals at this point are very real.
Very real.
Like,
it happen any day.
What is that?
It could happen any day.
I think it could happen within the next couple of years. I mean, I don't see it happening this upcoming year, but I think it could happen within the next couple of years. And then it's like, okay, well, again, then like the ripple effect, like what happens to the USHL because of that? What happens to the NA because of that? What happens to the BCHL because of that? All those different, there's just so many different factors that go into it, and so many possible outcomes, which I think in a big way is exciting, right? Like, it's going to be the first, if this happens, this will be like the first major shift in hockey in however many years, right? Like, we've seen like a lot of stuff happen at the lower levels of junior hockey in tier 3 with different leagues, different governing bodies. This division left this league and went to a different league. But, if major junior guys are able to play NCAA hockey, that'll be like the first major shift, in a long time, off the top of my head right now, at like the high levels of junior hockey. So like, it's an interesting time we're in now, and it's like, I think it's pretty exciting.
I mean, I totally agree, man. Like, it's crazy how different of, like, that would be unbelievable, because forever people were not allowed to go into from major junior into Division I. And then it's kind of like a perfect storm, honestly, because with how much the club teams are like expanding and building facility, right? And more traction gets on these ACHA Division I teams that are building these, new rinks, new facilities. Like, it's almost like they knew it was going to happen, right? Which obviously they're pretty smart. They know exactly what's going to happen before anyone else does, right? So they probably knew it was going to happen, and these schools are getting on board, right? And I think that, one of the best things, you said, is that it's just time will tell, right? And it's kind of like a mystery that we haven't really figured out yet. And I think that that's where people are like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, what's actually going to go on? What's really going to, like, is Division I really going to explode and expand to like another 10, 15 teams, right? Are they going to let those guys in? Are those guys going to get, like, what's going to happen to major junior? What's going to happen to the leagues underneath major junior and in the US, the tier 2 level and everything, right? Like, what's going to happen?
Well, and the cool part and the exciting part is like, it turns into a chess match, right? It's like, there's not like, what happened like to the leagues underneath, let's say, like the, like the USHL, the NA, the BC, right? What happens to them? It's really going to depend on how those leagues react, right? Like, somebody's going to be the big loser, but it's not determined who, right? It depends how they recruit, the product they offer for the players, the marketing, and all that stuff. Like, that's all like to be determined. And it's going to come, it'll be determined based off of their efforts, so it's really going to be interesting if this happens. And like I said, like, I think it's so much deeper than hockey. I think we're talking like, lawsuits, court cases, all that other stuff. Like,
buddy.
Like really, a lot of stuff that people don't look into, because like everyone's like focused on like the hockey piece of it, but it's like, I think it's so much deeper than just.
Well, who loses is the question, because there's going to be a loser. Who loses?
I think
And who wins?
I
But
I,
lose
no,
it.
wait,
There's gonna be a bigger loser,
OHL wins for sure. OHL wins for sure. Like that's
right?
the best. I would like if I had to rank all the junior leagues, I would put the OHL as number one.
Okay.
Like I'd put them ahead of
I think
the Western Hockey League
a
and the
lot of
Quebec
people
Major
would.
Junior League. I just think it's I think it's a little bit of a better league, and I think the OHL is extremely well rounded. It kind of mirrors the NHL style of play. The Western League's going to be a little more defensive. The Quebec League, the Quebec League's fallen off a little bit. I think, like, I don't think they're pumping out the numbers that they used to. But like
Yeah.
the OHL, like to me, the OHL is the best junior league there is. So like I think the OHL is going to be the winner because I think they're going to get a lot more guys to go there. Like I think the top players in the USHL leave. I think
I
they
would
do because I think they leave to go to OHL or Western Hockey League. Like I think the Western Hockey League will win as well, but I think the OHL will be the big winner. But I think the Western Hockey League well, although it's interesting because the Western Hockey League might actually be the big winner. Now you got me thinking. And the reason why I say I'm still going to say the OHL is the big winner, but why I think the Western Hockey League is closer than I thought it was 30 seconds ago is because they'll be able to take the top end guys out of BCHL, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not guaranteed that every USHL guy would go to a different geographic region and go play major junior, but
Yeah.
the BCHL guys are already in this footprint, right? Why would they want to play in the second best league if the Western League is now able to send guys NCAA, right? It's the same footprint, same geography, right? So,
absolutely.
So I see them, I see them getting, the BCHL, I think would lose a lot of guys,
Yeah. And then I mean, does the USHL's gotta kind of, I guess, suffered too, you would think, right?
100%. I don't see how they can't. I mean, because I think guys will leave and go. Like I think your top guys are gone, or at least a good amount of them.
Yeah.
To the OHL, to the Western League. The interesting like wild card to me is going to be the Quebec Major Junior League or the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, as it's called now. That I don't know because they have a hard time pulling guys out of the U.S. sometimes. Because obviously every league has their own protected territory, and their protected territory in the United States, it's a tough pull. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I think the USHL takes a hit, but I think the NA is going to take a big hit. I think it's going to turn. I think it's going to turn the NA
a trickle down, right?
Yeah, well, and I think
the only leagues that don't really get affected. Or maybe
everybody
does tier 3 get better? Like it's got to get worse.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the NA turns into a Division 3 league. I mean, it's already turning into it. Like I shouldn't say it's already turning into a Division 3 league, but there's, the NA gets a lot of Division 3 commitments, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody only talks about the Division 1 commitments that they get, but they get a lot of Division 3 commitments. Yeah. And the reason why I say I think that it turns the NA into a Division 3 league is because the NA is gonna get hit on both ends, right? Like where the NA is gonna, because of the trickle down effect, the NA is gonna lose they're gonna lose their top guys to the USHL, right? Or a lot of the top guys to the USHL, so they're gonna lose there, right? But then they're also gonna lose because there's gonna be less spots in Division 1 for NA players. Right, the Division 1 schools, they're going to go to the major junior first. They're going to go to the USHL.
USHL is going to be
think about how much bigger the player pool gets for potential D1 players, and the NA is at the bottom of that totem pole. Right, you're bringing in 3 new leagues at the top of the totem pole. So unless the NCAA Division 1 footprint expands, like I think it kind of turns the NA into a Division 3 league because, like I said, they're D1 talent. They're going to lose to the USHL, and they're not even going to have spots to send guys D1 to some extent because the player pool just got so much bigger, and it got bigger at the top end, not at the bottom end.
Yeah, I think it's a troubling thing, right? Obviously, in years to come, it sounds like. I know I said a minute and a half ago that it could happen any day, but I mean, the reason I say that is because you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Thanks, Grim. She doesn't realize that she can be seen on camera. Just left me a note.
That was awesome.
That was a wholesome moment here in the Swanny podcast.
What should she bring you?
She said, "I am in your room watching TV. When you come up,
I thought it was
I will
food.
go into my room." Thanks, Graham.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
I thought it was food.
No, having a little, I don't know if you could see this little steak and eggs action. Clear,
Nice. I just had
carnivore diet guy.
Yeah, I just had.
Yeah, for people that don't know, me and Swanny are heavy carnivore diet guys now.
Yep, going strong.
Listen,
I don't mind it. I mean,
I love it.
Listen, I hope there's no long-term side effects, but I'm feeling pretty good.
If there is, I feel great now. I'll suffer later. I'm sure stopping at Wendy's, once every day on the road when I had to go grab something was probably would have had longer lasting effects later in life than a good steak and eggs at night. Now I feel good, man. Down like almost 30 pounds. Like that's
awesome.
It's these lifestyle changes, right? Like I had to get you on it. You were back and forth here and there, with whether you liked it or not. And
I feel pretty good. I'm like over a month into it. I feel pretty good. For anybody that doesn't know, carnivore diet, it's just meat and animal products. That's all. That's all Jimmy Skillz and I have been eating.
100%. And eating like a primate.
It's a lot of red meat.
Yep.
It's a lot of. I mean, I had what I have today. I had 5 eggs and I threw cheese in there this morning for breakfast. So I had 5 scrambled eggs with cheese for breakfast. Went to the gym, came back. Then a little bit later, I had like a stack of Canadian bacon, regular bacon, and then 5 more eggs. And for dinner, I just had a steak and shrimp with what most people would probably say is way too much butter, but it was good.
And also, it'd be called surf and turf, but we'll leave out the fact that you didn't call it surf and turf. No problem. Got it.
I don't know. I cooked it myself, so I don't know if it qualifies as surf.
Fair enough.
I don't know if I'm that good of a cook or chef or whatever.
Yeah, but listen, it comes in the same realm of the conversation of like talking about how the times are changing, like red meat demonized, right? All these things. You're not supposed to eat butter. You're not supposed to eat a lot of dairy. You're not supposed to eat, just red meat, fruits and vegetables, right? And I mean, there's a lot of studies that show that it's actually pretty beneficial for you. I mean, I was 205 pounds and now I'm just about to be 175. And it's what, 3 months, Swannick?
Yeah, you've probably been on it for like that long.
3 months. And now I got Swain on it. So I'm spreading. I should be the carnivore. I should be Jimmy Carnivore. Jimmy Meats.
Yeah. What'd you say? Jimmy Meats.
Jimmy Meats. Because
it's not too late.
No. We could. Well, yeah. I guess next podcast you'll see it might be hyphenated. Jimmy Skillz Meats.
Jimmy Skillz Meats.
Yeah, we'll see which comes first after that. The skill session, like I said, was not too shabby this morning. But yeah, man, it's about lifestyle things, right? And I think like people kind of forget about how important your day-to-day like things are as a human being, especially like if you're a young athlete, right? Like I had a kid today and I was on the ice, a kid that's going to play in the Titan program this year. He does some stuff with Swan and
well, we got Swain's hockey in here right now.
Here we go. Beauty. He's probably eating steak and eggs.
He said Jimmy swipes.
Oh, I can't even tell that story.
I don't know. He might hop in here. He has the link.
Jimmy Swipes is a character that should definitely not come out. Should be kept away. Swain knows that. I love the Jimmy Swipes comment. Although Jimmy Swipes is a very good person, he looks to make everyone's night a little bit better. He does. Yeah. Jimmy Swipes.
Can't argue with that.
But yeah, I mean, kind of what I was getting at with like, I had a kid come up to me today and he's like, none of these guys come to these summer skates anymore. And he was doing a lesson with Ryan, and he's like, none of these guys come to the summer practices. I mean, they're later at night, but you should still, like, it's free ice, right? And like, I remember all the times, especially now, right, when lessons can get, if you're doing a couple lessons a week, it kind of gets, with the gas and toll, like, it could get kind of expensive, right? So like the free skates are not bad, right? I know when I was doing it, I would love to go and hop on free ice and play open hockey or whatever, but he's like, oh, the guys just don't. I'm like, yeah, man, like guys think they only commit themselves like September 1st through March. And then after March, the commitment button gets swiped the other way. Right.
Yeah.
And like he works hard. Like he was telling me, he's like, oh, I'm like bagging myself in this one-on-one. And I'm like, good.
Yeah,
Now
it's
you're
good.
working on skills and cardio.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Here's the
it's
thing, like,
go
or
ahead, sorry.
sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's and I say this all the time, but like, I think a lot of players have a warped perception of where they're actually at, and it's because of all the camp invite, bullshit that like, what I'm saying. And listen, like,
Right.
this is like a double edged sword what I'm about to say, because it's like, I think players have a warped perception of where they're at because of all the main camp crap, and all the prospect camp, this, that, dear player invited to this, we love you, like, because when you have that many teams at those high of levels flooding your email inbox telling you, like, hey, like, you're highly sought after, we want you, like, why wouldn't you think you're right where you need to be, right? Like, so, like, it messes with your
I
perception,
agree.
but
To a
at the
certain
same
extent,
time,
though.
what is that?
To a certain extent. Like the
Yes, and
guys
this
that
and
are
and
super committed.
this is what
Go
I'm
ahead.
this is what I was gonna say, though, like, with the double-edged sword, right? Like, everybody has to remember that you can't be content, right? Let's say you really were, all set for junior this year, right? Like, in terms of where you need to be. Like, what next? Right? Like, okay, so you're gonna play junior hockey this year. Cool. You have goals past that, right? It's like you can never be content. You can't just say, okay, I'm where I need to be. Cool. Right? No, like, I'm assuming your goal is to play NCAA or play major junior or play, NHL, right? Like, you have a lot of work to do. You can't take the foot off the gas. And I think and listen, I say this every year, and I'm gonna say it, now to put it into perspective. This will be the first time I'm saying it this year. 2000 and
First time announced.
yeah, 2006s will be drafted into the National Hockey League very shortly.
Wow.
Few weeks.
Have a couple of sixes.
Yeah, 2006s, right? So and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, right? It's just to put it into perspective so players know exactly what they have to do, right? So any 06 that's thinking like, hey, I'm the man, I don't have to work hard, I'm set, I'm drafted in the USHL, right? Or I'm tendered in the NA. It's like, okay, but there's kids your age that are going to, get drafted into the NHL and will probably play in the NHL next year, right? So, are you set? No, get to work, right? Like, not that every kid has to be fast tracked, but you have plenty of time for good hard work. There's just no time for an ego or anything like that, right? There's 19-year-olds that play Division One. There's 20-year-olds, again, like, if you're a 20-year-old thinking, hey, I'm the man, I'm lighting up junior hockey. Well, there's 20-year-olds in the NHL with 2 years under their belt in the NHL. So, again, like, check the ego and, just, you got to remember what it is you want and then act accordingly. Like, maybe you don't want to play in the NHL. Maybe you don't want to play Division One. Maybe you don't want to play Division Three. Okay, cool. Don't go to the summer skate then, but if
Yeah, no, and listen, I get it when you're, I remember like my friends being at parties, and I know Ryan can definitely talk about this because he used to go all over the place, right? But, and I'm sure you too, Swanny, right? But like,
that's how Ryan and I first met each other, was through,
yeah, I'd be going to Boston back-to-back weekends, but my friends are calling me saying what a great time they had, right? Like at this party, this, that. I'm like, yeah, it sucked to hear, right? It sucked to, I guess, miss out, but I had a different goal in mind, right? Like, sure, I missed out on a memory, right? But
you have newer memories that were what you actually wanted to do.
Listen, I had more time. I had plenty of other opportunities to be able to engage in that stuff over the course of the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Hanging out with friends, not being on the ice, like, but those were two solid opportunities that and again, the word is sacrifice, right? So like, again, when we talk about like the carnivore diet, getting back in shape, it's just like same thing with the ice. It's sacrifice. Like, you can continue to do the shit that doesn't help you or that makes you average, right? But it's about sacrificing maybe the want to do other things because they're easier, maybe they taste better, right? Or they're they're easier to, stay at home and hang out and be like, those guys are tryhards. They're going to the summer skates. I'm out here, talking to these girls on the beach, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you got it all wrong, right? Like, you're actually sacrificing valuable time that you could be able to develop before the incoming season, right? And you have it ass backwards. And I see a lot of guys that like it, you're coming into training camp, you're not in shape. And
Right,
it like
you're
from the first 10 minutes, I can tell. Like every coach can tell, by the way, guys. Kids that we know you haven't skated. It's
you can tell when
very
they walk
clear.
through the door. Like when they walk through the
Well,
door
that's
carrying their
usually
bag.
a telltale sign. Yeah. I
Where's,
mean, it's usually a telltale sign, but I'm talking about hockey shape, not necessarily muscles.
Right,
I'm talking about,
to take it a step up. But I'm saying like the kids that like I know you've seen it too, like at certain tryouts over the summer, like NA camp or whatever, or whatever camp, you see guys walking through the door. It's like, why'd you even come? Like, why'd you waste? Like, why? Like, you're kidding yourself. Why'd you waste your time?
I
And
agree.
like, and that's what I wanted to comment on, like on your, to your point. Like, yes, it's a sacrifice, but at the same time, it's not a sacrifice, right? Like and it's always going to be a sacrifice at times, right? There's always going to be times that, you want to be doing something else and you're making a sacrifice. But, if you're sitting there, 95% of the time training going, man, I'm really sacrificing today having to be here and train.
You probably shouldn't play.
Maybe this isn't for you. And there's no shame in that. There's way more to life than hockey. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you to go. There's so many other things out there.
I agree.
Right? Like, and like, that's the thing. Like if you're not enjoying yourself, if it's not fun for you to go there and, kick your own ass for, 2 hours straight on the ice or in the gym and all that stuff, again, maybe like if you don't enjoy that, maybe rethink
hard work, man.
Right?
Because it's hard work.
Yeah, because listen, like if you're not gonna go to the summer skates, like if you're not gonna train, but you're still gonna sign up and go to 4 or 5 tryout camps, you're kidding. You're kidding yourself. Why would you like? It's not worth the time or the money. Like you're completely kidding yourself. And again, if you don't want to train, that's fine. Don't train, but also don't wonder why you're not playing at a high level.
Yeah.
Right. Just make sure that your actions match your words.
And then you want to yell at your advisor why they didn't get you on the team. But
or anybody.
You were being a jerk off all summer.
It's everybody's fault, I mean, but it's but I think if players, and this is what I preach to a lot of guys, is just kind of like take a step back and like decide what your goals are, and then align your actions with your goals. And if your goal is just, hey, I want to have some fun, I'm fine playing, maybe tier 3 in a sick location and getting a great life experience, and I don't want to work that hard over the summer to try to play tier 2 or tier 1. Like if that's your goal, cool, right? But identify that, right? The guys that get themselves into trouble are the guys that say one thing but do another thing, right? And that's what I always try to instill in the players is, hey, like, what are your honest goals? Whatever they are is fine, right? Again, like I said before, there's way more to life than hockey.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what are your honest goals? And then once you have your honest goals, okay, let's create an honest plan now. Right. And then usually if that's done, the player's happy and everything's usually good. Right. It's when the wires are crossed that the problems start. Right. It's like, that's what I always try to identify with people, with players and families, is just like, okay, what's the goal? Let's make sure the wires aren't crossed here. And, this is supposed to be a fun, enjoyable journey. And if it's done right, it will be.
Yeah. I think the one of the big problems is guys like they just, it all comes down to habits, right? Like you're talking about these goals. Like, are you a goal? Do you create goals? Like, are you a goal maker, or are you just kind of like, I don't know,
right?
Fizzling off into the abyss, waiting for something to land in your lap? Right. You know what I mean? Like, is it calculated? One of the best quotes I've ever heard, right, is the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Right? So like anything you do, you're going to do that with everything you do. Right?
Yeah. It's more like, like you said, it's habitual. It's a habit. It's your personality.
It's habit. So if you're lazy, you're probably going to be lazy in hockey. You'll be lazy in life. Like, it's right. So I think that building good habits, and the earlier you can build good habits, and that goes all the way to like pregame preparation. Like I had some really good kids on my team this year, but their pregame preparation was dog shit. And they would come back and they're like, oh, what do you mean? We warmed up for 15 minutes and we did the lines, and it's like, okay, I get that, but
yeah,
and funny enough, we were down in Washington. I walked out there one day to watch what they were doing. And, I could watch them all like go from all of their different directions they were in to go. And, somebody had, hooty-hooed me. Right. And saw me coming. So they go like kind of congregated together and try to I'm like, guys, I saw you from 200 yards away. You guys are all one, right? You don't even have sneakers on. You don't have sneakers on. You come to a hockey trip where you're going to be gone 2 days and you don't have training sneakers to warm up. Like, that's insanity to me.
The best was this kid I coached one year. So I go outside and he was awesome kid. Like just funny as all hell.
Before I rip him to shreds.
What did you say?
I said, let me state that first before I rip him to shreds.
No. This is just a funny story. It's like I still laugh about it to this day. So I walk outside and the team's doing their dynamic warm-up. This kid is doing his dynamic warm-up, full suit. He forgot his workout. He forgot his workout clothes. He's sitting there doing like that, like everything. His dynamic warm-up in a full suit. He didn't even take his tie off.
Was it July? How hot was it?
No, it was probably.
Did he show signs of fatigue?
It was at the beginning of the season. It was probably like September, so it was still like hot out. And he
wasn't a health bomb, was he? Where he just knew?
No.
I'm just gonna stay in this as long as I can because I don't want to get out of my shit.
He was. No, he was playing. He was playing, and I'm like looking at this. I'm like, what am I looking at?
That is incredible. I would be shocked too. I thought the sneakers that's insane.
Yeah,
that's funny though. That's funny.
Full suit. Yeah, he's doing this stretch.
What are you gonna do though? Like,
what is that?
He said it's either full suit or full gear. I'd rather go full suit.
Yeah,
you're out there in full gear. You're looking like an absolute psychopath.
I would have tried to get like a pant shell or something, or just maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I would. I don't know what I would have done.
I would have been like, I don't know, man. I might just stay in here. Tell me when you guys get back. I'm gonna stretch the locker room.
Like, yes, that was pretty funny. I don't know. I've
had some great stories. I've had some great stories. Ryan has a really good one. When we were kids, he forgot his fucking skates. He took everything and he played in the game with rental skates on. So he used to wear. Oh, listen to this. This is phenomenal. So he used to, before he had contacts, he used to wear glasses under his cage. Right, guy. Listen, I'm gonna give him some props before I shred him a little bit. But I'm gonna tell him. Guy had the sickest hands. Right, still has the sickest hands around.
Yeah,
but white gloves, pink mission stick, rental skates, glasses under the game, like just absolute. And the guy might have had 3 points that day.
I know. Well, I was just gonna say, how it must feel on the other team to get dusted by a guy wearing
on the other team
white gloves, pink stick, rental skates.
I thought I had great stuff.
It's just like, just get dusted by him.
Yeah, he came in looking like a Franklin hockey fucking pad, and he comes in and has 3. I'm like, what's going on here? But I mean I can remember his dad. I never forgot my skate. I forgot a couple things. One time we were actually
too, when you forget something. You check your bag like 3 times and you're like,
but that's like forgetting your helmet to go play football. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you can't forget the skates. That's like the one thing you do need, and you don't want to have to go buy those in the pro shop, right? Like maybe quick 900, thanks, ma. My dad would have got me he would have got me the rental skates. He would have got me the rental skates. It was a great story though.
I've definitely forgotten my helmet before. I don't know. I've forgotten jerseys. I think everybody's forgotten jerseys.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh, forgotten jerseys. Like after a 6-hour ride up to Boston, my dad was ready to murder me. I remember that clear as day. I remember this year. I'm such an idiot for this too. But I remember this year sitting on the plane and watching them put our guys' sticks on. And that's like the one thing. I was the chaperone guy on the flights to was it Michigan? Yeah, to Michigan. And like the one thing I was worried about was either that we forgot a kid, like clearly that was the most important, right? But I was pretty good at that, right? And then the second thing was like, God, I would hate for somebody to lose gear or we lose our team sticks. So I'm sitting, and I only like to fly on either the aisle or the window. So I'm sitting there on the window, and I'm I have my head about to take a absolute amazing nap on the way there, and I just happen to catch out of the corner of my eye, like they're throwing the sticks on. I'm like, all right, I'm getting kind of like, all right, good, sticks are good. We don't have to worry about that. And then like maybe 45 seconds later, they start coming back off down the conveyor, and I'm like,
at least at that point, it's not your fault.
No, but I shouldn't. So I stand up and I'm like, I'm asking for a stewardess. I'm like, flight attendant. I'm like, hey, like I have guys going to Michigan for hockey this weekend, and they just took like the entire team sticks off the ice or off the plane.
Take your seat.
Yeah, and she's like, no, that I'm sure they got it handled. Yada yada yada. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm not gonna be one of the people that's on TikTok getting pulled off the Delta flight for free. Right. So I was pretty close, but I had my cup of coffee already. So anyway, we get to Michigan, and we're sitting at the, we get off, we're sitting at the what's the thing called? Not a vestibule. Is it vestibule? What is it called? What's the thing? The baggage claim. Yeah, but the baggage claim, whatever the vestibule, I forget. Baggage claim, yeah. Trying to sound like a smart guy here. But the baggage claim, and we're waiting, and I'm like, the red lights flash, and I see, suitcase come off, and we're standing there. People are starting to grab their shit and walk away. I still got 15 kids with me. They have their bags, they have their luggage, no sticks.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, we got an 8 a.m. tomorrow. So lo and behold, we got the sticks, but they came in on a 1 o'clock flight thankfully with some other parents that were flying in with kids. But I'm like, lady, you just don't would have been the first time for me getting chaperone flights. I had everything buttoned up. Yeah. Nobody lost. Everyone made the flight, right? Everyone was fed. Forgot the sticks. So I was like, oh my God. And as a player and a parent, you got to be like, really? This weekend's $500 already. I'm going to buy him 2 new sticks. Yeah. Right? $250 a rip. I'm like, oh my God. I
wonder if they may have got reimbursed by the airline at that point. I don't know.
Dude, the airlines are assholes. They are. This kid lost his entire bag from a different trip that was on the premier team, and he lost everything, and he paid for the insurance that was going to cover up to $10,000. Yeah. He lost everything: skates, helmet, gloves, socks, cup, everything.
They didn't cover it.
They gave him $400. $400.
That's insane.
And he bought the insurance that said, I don't know if there was another fine print that was added to the paperwork afterward, but I was like, crazy. $400.
That's nuts. The work
for everything. He had like $2-3 grand of stuff in that bag.
Yeah, that's nuts. My worst airline stick story. I was coming home from Ottawa, and how when you travel, they include the sticks as part of the bag, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I get to the desk, and they're like, they count up my bags, and they had 1 extra bag.
Okay.
I'm like, no, I think I had 2 bags with me. They're like, oh, 3 bags. I'm like, no, there's 2. They're like, oh no, 3. I'm like, how do you get into 3? They're like, oh, your sticks. I'm like, that's part of bag number 2. They're like, no, it's not.
This is in Ottawa?
Yeah. I'm like, I flew here. It's part of the same part. How is it different on the way back than on the way there? And I was like, I was so mad. And I was like, obviously I was a lot younger. I was a wise ass. I've calmed down since then. But so they're like, oh, you can either pay, $200 to bring the sticks on, or you have to throw them out. And I'm like, all right, well, the sticks were pretty much free. I'm like, all right, the sticks were pretty much free.
Okay.
I'm not buying, I'm not paying to bring them on the plane. So I'm like, all right.
That's awesome.
I'm like, whatever. Throw them out. Like, I left, so I leave them at the counter. And so I grab my stuff. I go to walk away. They're like, oh, you got to throw your sticks out. I'm like, what sticks? Like, these sticks. I'm like, those aren't my sticks. Those are your sticks. I just left. I left.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
Like,
good for you, Swanny.
Then I get in the security line and they're trying to explain to this guy had to be like 85 years old. They pull out a pair of scissors like this long out of his bag. And they're trying to, like, he couldn't understand why he couldn't bring his scissors on. He was like they're like,
these are my page holder, my placeholder in my book I'm reading.
Yeah, he's like, why? He's like, those are my scissors. And they're like, yeah, that's the problem.
God, imagine that was like a family heirloom too, and they totally fucked that one up too. They took it away from the guy, gave him $400 too for a $1 million pair of scissors.
Yeah, for a pair of scissors. But
that's incredible. I think those memories are like why it's so important that, like, guys, like, those are our, for lack of a better term, war stories, right? Like those are our
like it's just like the stuff that you remember,
memories. Like, you talk about like this guy, and honestly, like the network of hockey, like you'll bump into a guy. I'll rattle off 3 names, like, oh shit, I play with him in Thunder Bay. I play with him in Cheyenne. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally just met you 10 seconds ago, but everybody I know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the hockey world, like a brotherhood, like there's a bond there, where if right? Like, it's kind of like the saying, I'm going to say that is probably the best way to put it, because unless you've done it and played and listen there, it's a wild time and it's fun and you meet guys and you learn a lot of shit. Like I've said earlier when I was on, this podcast the first time, like, you learn a lot of life skills, right? That
for sure,
that really prepare you, especially when you're on your own that young. Like, some of your parents even weren't on their own that young, right? Like when you're building at 16, and it's like, you're pretty much on your own, right? You have some help, a little bit of guidance, right? But you're kind of, your parents are not knowing what you're doing. Like, you got to decide what you really want to do, right? Like,
my first time billeting, I was 16. I was only 2 hours from home, so it was nice because, like, it wasn't, it was kind of like almost like an introduction to billeting.
Yeah.
Like, I billeted full time, but I knew that I knew home was only 2 hours away.
Yeah,
or 2, so
which is good when it's at that age. It's not a bad thing. I mean, there's so many. Although at the 16th birthday year, I've seen, I feel like that's like the 1 year that people want them to stay home just one more year. It depends on the situation though, right? Like, if they're going to go play in the North American League, they're probably going to go. Right. But if you're going to move across to play 18, exactly. If you're going to go move across to play 16 or 18, a lot of them prefer to, I mean, some do move, but a lot of them, I feel like 17, 18 is the first years where you're just like, you can do, your parents allow you a little bit more to, like, they're comfortable with you leaving home, right? Like,
you're another year older, another year more mature. And
like, I know, like, for example, I wish Ryan was on here because he has so many good stories. But I mean, this guy was driving. He had a Prius. He had a black Prius.
I remember that.
And you remember the car?
Oh yeah.
And he ended up getting in a car accident. Where thank God he's okay. But he would barrel that thing around America and Canada and just got him. And he didn't give a shit. Like, he knew it was a good car. And he'd always have 12 hockey sticks in there, right? In a bag, and whether it was a roller puck or ice puck. And I mean, he's honestly my one friend, and I could say probably Vinny Correa too. And obviously, now that I've gotten to know you a lot more, Swanny, obviously you did the thing too, but he's the one guy that, like, just didn't care where he had to go. He just wanted to play. Yeah. And maybe you could honestly probably agree with that, because I know you helped get him, places.
Yeah.
Right. He just didn't care. He wanted to play.
Right.
He wasn't afraid to leave.
To do what it, he was willing to do what it took.
Yeah. He wasn't afraid to leave, come back to home, and then take a 2-day pit stop and drive 18 hours to go play in Florida after he was playing in Boston.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't mind that.
Yeah. He played for me in Florida. Like that was
Daytona, yeah.
and, yeah, Daytona. And he had the Prius down there, and like so
What a
like
car.
so yeah, so he was in his last year. He was 20 years old. He wasn't in Daytona long, right? But like it was the last year, 20
I
years old.
remember.
Like obviously, like Ryan and I are good friends. I was like a 23 or 24-year-old coach, right?
Yeah.
I was coaching the team. So now I got one of my friends playing on the team, and
Yeah.
it was just like
Probably one of the better guys too.
oh it was stupid. He was he was scoring at will, and
You can imagine.
it was stupid. I had him for a month, and I had a goalie from up in Canada that was coming off an injury. Nobody in Junior A would give him a shot, and so I'm like, hey, just come down here. Like you'll be gone in a month, and he was gone like 3 weeks. Like we had him in training camp. Then he went up to London Knights in the OHL, went to training camp there, came back, and
I heard you the whole time, Swan.
so he was like with us for a month, and he went, and he went back, he went to Junior A, and then Ryan went back, and but like between those two, it was just like, we're in a good situation. But so, we had this other kid Eric on the team, and he lived with me, I billeted him, and Slovakian kid, awesome kid. This is like 10 it's like 10 years ago, maybe a little more. I still keep in touch with Eric to this day. And just going back to your Prius comment, Swain's getting ready to leave my house down in Daytona one time, and Eric goes, hold on, wait for your car, and hands him 2 AAA batteries to get home.
That's amazing. Ryan was probably cracking up.
Those two used to give it to each other. I used to just sit there and listen and laugh. And
that's amazing.
Yeah,
dude, that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because you said he was a Slovakian kid.
Yeah.
Dude, the people you meet from like Europe and like across the world, and from everywhere, like it's so awesome to like meet those people and like learn. I had a kid. I really should honestly reach out to him. I haven't spoke to him in a while. I know he went back to Czech for a while after this is probably like a couple years ago. But he was a great, like one of my best friends playing. He lived with a family of 2 other really good buddies that I played with in junior. His name was Voida. And dude, he came in not speaking an absolute lick of English.
That's how this kid Eric was.
Absolute lick. And the amazing fact that he could speak fluent English, and he was almost like kind of felt to me like more American than Czech at that point. After like a 3-4 year period of knowing him, I'm like, holy shit, man! Like
that's how Eric was. Eric came to Daytona knowing no English, and then
that's gotta be insane.
By the time he left, he was fluent. Like the first day I met him, he's like, hi. I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm like, you'll hop in line back there. He goes, good. How are you?
Poor kid. That's amazing.
He was awesome. Like I said,
we have some Russian guys like that now that I coach, but they learn so fast. It's crazy. And then there's a couple times where they're speaking Russian on the bench, and I'm like, you guys can just go tell me to go fuck myself right to my face. You don't have to speak in Russian. I know exactly what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying. Right.
It used to be the best because the goalie spoke broken English because he was French. Like his English was very, very
yelling
good.
At the guys.
But what is that?
And he's yelling at the guys.
No, even better. Him and Eric would get into scream, like they were good
in
friends.
Russian.
Like they would have like
Slovakian.
Not discussion, screaming at each other. and like they were good friends, but they would argue all the time, and it was just an argument in broken English. One French Canadian, one Slovak arguing in broken English, and it was the funniest thing. And every once in a while, somebody would mess up a word, and Eric was looking for one of his AirPods, one of his headphones, and he's calling it a head spring, right? So he's screaming. He's like, "Where's my head spring?" And Victor's like, I don't know what a head spring is. Like he's like, yes, you do. Where is it? And then we got this other kid, Austin, just sitting on the couch. He's like, yeah, I could fix this right now, but this is too much fun.
This is too great. It's not a head spring, and here it is.
Yeah, it's great.
That's amazing, dude. See, but this is what I love about the game, dude. It's really just it's an awesome thing to be able to talk. And I've known Ryan for 20 years. I've known you for I forget how long now. And even in the early days, I knew. Yeah, in the early days, I knew of you. I knew Ryan was working with you and said always say good things about you. But like you just everyone you meet and you start to like get closer with and you build friendships and it's already been built with like the time you did together. It's like I said, it's like we're in the core, right? And I don't want to obviously downgrade that brotherhood, but like it's the same kind of camaraderie, right? Like it feels very real.
It's something that connects everybody, and like
Yeah.
you have a mutual respect and appreciation because like when you get like what you did, like how hard you worked to get there, and it's like okay, if you're here too, like I know you put the work in, right? Like
and we're still doing it.
What is that?
And we're still doing it.
Yeah.
Just from a different, like we're giving back, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listen, I loved my time coaching. Like honestly, like some days I want to coach again. Like, like because it was just like playing, but without having to do that physical work. Like, it was like
paperwork. You can coach with me.
Get it done. Yeah, but like it was just like that. Like, like when I was coaching down in Daytona, it was just like, I mean, it was like 85 degrees every day. We had training camp on the beach. Like, and at first, like I'm like I didn't know what to do because it's like, all right, like I'm going to do the workouts. Like I'm going to run the workouts for the team. We're in the middle of training camp. I get to the beach. It's like, all right, I'm sweating my ass off. Oh. Do I take my shirt off? Do I not? Like, I kind of feel like I shouldn't. Like, I'm coaching this team. None of them have shirts on. I'm in a bathing suit. Like, and I look over and there's I was the head coach, assistant general manager. So there's our owner and general manager standing there, no shirt on the beach. I'm like, all right, shirt's coming off. Like, I guess this is how it goes down in Florida. Yeah. Like, so
everyone's a beach person.
It was so much fun. Like we, and I mean, like the road trips were great. Like, although I did something pretty screwed up on the road trip, I discovered what was it? Steak and Shake down there. I discovered steak.
Oh, you're going to say fire, but Steak and Shake's probably pretty close.
Second best. The cavemen cooked Steak and Shake burgers over their fire. Right after they made the fire, they made Steak and Shake.
I would agree.
So for anybody listening that doesn't know Steak and Shake, it's like, at least in my experience, I could be wrong, but from what I remember, it's like this low end, low quality, but delicious burgers, fries, milkshakes, all that other stuff. So I discovered Steak and Shake, and I'm like, this stuff is banging. And then like a week later, we're on a road trip. I think we're going to Tampa or to Palm Beach, one of the two. And I made the bus go there for pregame meal because I wanted it. I don't know how these kids played with Steak and Shake. Like I said, I was a 23-year-old coach or 24-year-old coach. Like probably not the best idea, but yeah, I'm like, let's go to Steak and Shake.
That is hilarious. Oh, that definitely didn't sit well pregame.
I mean, they loved it. I mean, but dude, I don't know. Looking back at it, it's like, yeah, that was
it's so funny. Some people, I would get that as a player. They're like, oh, we're gonna stop at Papa John's. We're gonna go to McDonald's, and I'm like, guys, this is not where I want to eat before I'm playing this game. Not where I want to eat.
Yeah.
Chipotle. Yeah. Oh, Chipper was always listen. My coach knew he would always take us to Chipper. If there was a Chipper, actually, we do that quite often now too because it's not. It's usually after the game. It's post game. Yeah. It's not pre-game. Usually, the guys go to Wawa.
Yeah, I don't know if I could play after eating Chipotle.
Oh, listen, hang on. I'm doing a study right now. I was doing a study before I went to all meat. Like, I used to be the biggest asshole and eat Chipotle before, like an hour before, maybe 45 minutes before a men's league game. Oh. And then try and go out there and stop and start up and down the 200-foot rink. And not good. So I've tested the hour long. I've tested the 2 hour long or 2 hour before, and I've tested the 3 hour before. What I still feel like shit on the ice 3 hours after eating Chipotle. So we got to go to hour 4 and we'll see. But it's incredible. Like you would think.
I don't know if I like. It's just I don't know.
It's
To me,
just
like
a lot of food, bro. It's a lot of
just like,
food.
and I like spicy foods. Like I get the hot like spicy chicken. I get the
Oh,
the
you
hottest
kidding
hot
me?
sauce they
I'm
have.
getting the vinaigrette.
Yeah,
How you doing?
and it's one of those foods too. Like I mean, it's gonna sound gross, but like if you burp like 2 hours later, like you're feeling that.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
like the
You're
sauce.
talking to your line mate, he's gonna punch you in the face.
No, like not even the smell. Like, I'm saying like you feel it come back up. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
oh like it's
acid
just,
reflux. That would be the medical term.
Oh, all right.
Heartburn.
Jimmy Doc,
Doctors.
Doctor Jimmy.
Med.
No, Jimmy Med.
Jimmy Meds. But that, dude, there was some funny like Jersey Mikes they would take us to. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is not what I need to be eating before a game. Then you try and eat it, eat like a bite, save some for later. But I always the standard PB and J or peanut butter Nutella was the best pregame meal for me. I'm saying pregame though, like day of, like night before. Probably chicken parm, like spaghetti and something, chicken and spaghetti, something like that, right? But day of like 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or 2 peanut butter and Nutella sandwiches. I was ready to rock.
Yeah.
Maybe a Cliff Bar.
Yeah, I would have like peanut butter sandwich, a coffee, like on the way to the rink. It was so good. Like or even at the rink, because like once they start putting the they have the tables like outside the locker room and stuff. Like
100%. Tell me you didn't feel like the king of the world when you were down there in your in the lobby at the hotel and you were getting that free hotel coffee. You just ironed your suit. You're walking out the door, like you're like, oh, I'm the guy. And everyone in this hotel thinks that I'm playing like serious pro hockey and I'm on the second 16 team. That's what it is. But for this moment, I am the guy.
Yeah, that's it's like, and it's weird too. Like just some of those memories stick. Like even just like the peanut butter and jelly. Like there's like times like, I don't know, like obviously not now because I'm doing the carnivore diet like you, but like, like months ago, like I'd have a peanut butter and jelly before the gym, and it just kind of like brought me back to the playing days. Like just
right,
like,
right. I have meals like that too. It's funny. I didn't do as much. I feel like guys do it way more now. Sorry, a little bit far from the mic. I feel like guys do it way more now, like have pasta parties and stuff. Like I know people that did but guys I feel like get more. Not they get together, but like they have like more like Friday night. But like me and a small group of guys would do it.
Yeah,
like a small, like not like the whole team, like for whatever reason, right? But just we knew what we wanted to eat. We went out, we ate, we talked about. Usually it was line mates, maybe like a couple other guys, that you liked, or we're good buddies with. Not that you didn't like, you respect everybody, but like it was just funny how like now there's guys doing like 25-person pasta parties.
Oh yeah, they'll do that like the billet houses. Like some of the billets are awesome.
Like what the? I'm like some of the billet food I see on Vietnam is quite frankly horrific.
Really? The short time that I played in the NA, my billet was the manager of a Denny's. So it was literally just Denny's at home. It was just everything was from Denny's, which at first it was awesome. It's like awesome, making that, just everything. But after a while, like it was like, all right,
I'm done.
I don't know how much more Denny's I can eat. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I might eat Denny's once every 5 years, and I'm good.
Oh, and they were super nice people. They were awesome. Like he'd be like, oh, he's like, we want ice cream. I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, all right, it's in the freezer in the garage. Go out. It was like one of those like just
like the cylinders, like 10
like 10
like
gallon
the cardboard
ice cream. Yeah, the cardboard ones exactly.
That's hilarious. That's like, do you own an ice cream truck too? Because that's what they got in the ice cream trucks. Had to own an ice cream truck. Had to have.
Yeah, no, it was.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's a good billet house. Denny's and cardboard 55-gallon drums of ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, it was and like same thing. Like if you wanted ketchup, it was like, all right, let's go get the 2 gallons of ketchup in the garage. Like
in the garage. I gotta bring it to the store tomorrow.
This is terrible. But one of the funniest things that ever happened in that house. This is terrible. So we
Fair.
We're leaving. We're getting ready to go out to dinner or something. It wasn't Denny's, so like we had a break from the Denny's, and there was me and I think 3 of my team. Like it was a pretty big house. We had 4 of us building at that house, and they had a finished basement. We had bedrooms in the basement, and it was awesome. And
sounds a lot like my buddy's house and
yeah,
set up. Yeah.
So right outside the sliding glass door, or sorry, right inside the sliding glass door, off to the side, there was a bench press, and the bar, like the thick part of the bar that you put the plates on, stuck out probably about 6 inches in front of the door. Oh. I can't even think about this without laughing.
You smoked yourself right in the head.
So we're getting ready to leave. So we're going out the back door. Our little billet brother, who's like 5 years old, 6 years old, he's shorter than the bar.
So you
or his eyes are shorter than the bar, so he doesn't see it. He walks right into this thing. You just hear think. He just drops straight down. Like tears, whole 9 yards.
The 5-year-old?
Yeah, he's probably like 6 years old. And
so drilled himself.
Yeah, so like egg on his head and everything, like horrifically crying, we're not laughing, but like inside we're like, all right, like
we're laughing.
We're laughing, but not laughing. So the dad's down there, he's like calming the kid down, and the kid finally calms down after like 5 minutes. The dad like picks him up by the arm, puts him back down on the ground. He's like, all right, buddy, you're good. Come on, let's go. Kid goes, okay, turns around, ping! drops down to the floor again.
Right on the same spot?
Yes.
Oh, dude.
The dad's just like, buddy, again?
Oh. Now you had to be laughing. There's no way.
We were dying laughing. And the sound that it made,
it was like one of those old shit aluminum T-ball bats.
It was, ding. Yeah, exactly. It was like one of those loud, just ping. It was. Oh, dude, it was
my. That's hilarious. Oh, that is one of the funniest stories I've heard.
It was crazy.
You got to be there though. You got to be that. Yeah. In that moment, it's like,
I'm like,
my God.
Tearing up.
I remember.
So funny.
I remember. So same kind of thing, like nice finished basement. 3 of the guys stayed down in the basement. Nice setup, big TV, played Xbox down there, hung out. Right. But my one buddy, so their driveway, right, was like here, and it cascaded down like on a big loop. So it was like here, and it came all the way, like very, very pronounced hill, right?
Yeah.
My one buddy drove stick. It's actually how I learned to drive stick and drive my and get my first car. It was stick. So anyone that drives stick knows that you got to pull the e-brake, once you're done driving the car, and get out of the car so it doesn't roll down the fucking hill. So, and he's a seasoned vet, right?
Yeah.
This guy, I'm coming around the corner to like come over, and Voida calls me, and he's like, they used to call me Gil, right? So my last name's Gil. He's like, Gil, Jules's car is fucked. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's laughing. Right? I'm like, Voida, what's going on? He's like, oh, wait till you get here. So I come around the corner, and there's like their neighbor's yard is like the next, because their house is like here, right behind it is the neighbor's house. Like right in between is the driveway, or is like the road. So I come driving through the middle, and here's the neighbor's house over here. The fucking car is up on 3 or 4 boulders, just propped up on the rocks. And I'm like, my buddy is like borderline, like, he loved that car, so he's borderline tears. I'm like, dude, I looked right at him. He's like, what? I'm like, you didn't pull the e-brake? He's like, dude, not right now. Fuck you. They had to get a tow truck in there with like a mini crane, like to get it off the rock. It was such a shit show.
Yeah, one of my roommates, when I played in Thunder Bay, he messed up our other roommate's car because it was a stick, and there was only one car at the house, and it was a stick, and everybody would attempt to drive it, myself included, and stalling out all over town and everything, and Yeah, so the other kid somehow messes it up, and like, our roommate's pissed, French Canadian kid, and he's like, I got no reverse. We're like, what? He's like, I got no reverse. Like his car wouldn't go into reverse anymore. So we'd all we'd all go out and we'd have to push him out of the parking spots. Like we'd pull into Boston Pizza, go have dinner, come back out, and like 3 of us would push him out, get back in the car, and drive away. What is that?
Teammate. I have no reverse.
Yeah,
that would sound like he is partially on the cusp of blowing a tranny. I have no reverse.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Thunder Bay was a fun time though. Thunder Bay was fun. When I first
anybody who's been to Thunder Bay says Thunder Bay has been a good time.
Yeah. So so when I played in Thunder Bay, there was a gym in the rink, like I don't know, probably about a mile from our house, and and we like it was just 4 of us in the house. We all had our own bedroom. There was no billets. The team just had a house. We lived there, and they would drop off groceries. They treated us really well. Like we had more steaks than we know what to do with. Like we were fully stocked.
Set up.
No, it was sick. So I'd be walking to the gym, and I come back one time, and one of the owners is at the house, and like she was dropping off food, and she's like, "Where were you?" I'm like, "Oh, I was at the gym." She goes, "Oh, how'd you get there?" I'm like, "I walked." She's like, "You walked?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's only like a mile." She's like, "You can't walk to that gym." I'm like, "Why not?" She's like, "There's a lot of stray dogs and there's a wolf." I'm like, "Oh." And because I guess so, like Thunder Bay is split into 2 sides.
I'm like, oh, I almost just got fucking mauled.
Yeah, so it's actually really sad because Thunder Bay split into 2 sides. You have the reservation side, you have the other side, and people when they had a dog that they didn't want anymore, they would drive it to the reservation side and just let it out and done. So the dogs
would take it.
So no, but the dogs were angry, they were hungry, they were pissed off, and then and then there's the wolf. So then I'm sitting there and oh no, sorry, I was on my way to the gym. I was on my way to. She's like, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "Oh, you can't walk." So then I grab a kitchen knife, like a steak knife, and I take a hockey stick, and I'm sitting there taping the knife to the end of the stick.
Holy shit! What movie is that? Where he goes out with the hunting gun, with tapes the knife to the end?
I don't know.
Oh my god!
So I'm taping this knife to the stick. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You just told me there's a wolf." I'm like, "I'm still going to the gym." And she's like, "Yeah, but you're making a spear. You can't walk around the res with a spear."
Yeah.
Holy
shit, so making a spear.
So what I wound up doing, I would always bring the stick with me without the knife, and then I would have a bag of peanut butter sandwiches. So if a dog came, there goes the sandwich. Yeah, there goes me.
There goes me. Very good. That's actually a very good trap there, Swanny.
Yeah. So luckily, it always worked out.
There goes the sandwich. There goes me.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 70s rock song.
Yeah.
There goes the sandwich. There goes me.
There goes me. Yeah. So it was just amazing. So it was just crazy. But no,
dude, that's wild.
Thunder Bay was a real good time. What is that?
Wolves are big, man. Like they're 160 pounds.
Luckily, I never saw it.
He probably saw you though. He just didn't decide to come out.
Yeah, luckily I never saw it.
But you just turned to him and give him the onward upward tour. He would just turn around and he would give it back to you, turn around, and go the other way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Understood.
Exactly.
The tour has to continue.
Yep, the tour
doesn't stop here.
The tour continues.
That's amazing.
Next one, July 18th to the 21st, Senior Chowder Cup. Next weekend, after that, Junior Chowder Cup.
Yeah, we're looking for a few more guys. So
we're piecing it together, folks. Piecing it together.
Yeah. So, everything looks good though.
Yeah. Yep.
It's gonna be another great weekend.
Anybody that's interested, just go to swanhockey.com. All the dates are there. We did the pre-draft showcase. It was Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Went better than we could have hoped. We wound up losing.
Honestly, it was great, man. You did a
70s.
lot of work behind the scenes that was really beneficial to the kids. It was good to be behind the bench and be part of something like that. So
yeah, no, you and Andre killed it on the bench, and
that was fun. When
in
you get
other
to the
areas.
semis, man, like when you get to this, like it makes the weekend kind of, I guess, not that when like playing the 3 games does it and getting the experience in general, but it just makes it that much more worth like going that weekend when you're like right there. You know what I mean? You want to come back next year and win it.
Yeah, because like I think everyone's like competitive juices come out at that point. Like
100%.
I know mine did. Like I was like
100%. I was white knuckling with that Sharpie, with that Expo marker, drawing up the next play.
Yeah.
When we were in OT. We were ready to go.
I know. It was such a tough way to lose.
Off somebody's skate.
Yeah, off our own guy's skate into the net.
And Foley made a shit ton of saves.
Oh, he was real good.
To keep us in that game.
He was I started thinking that we had a chance at like actually winning the whole thing. Because like obviously, right? You and I had 1,000 conversations about it. Like the team, like, winning was never, winning the championship was never the objective. It was providing the experience, providing the exposure, providing, just all that kind of stuff.
Beating the guys.
And, and just like, even the way that, just every step of the way, everything was, geared towards the overall experience. And then like, I don't know, it was probably during game 2 or game 3. I'm sitting in the stands, and I'm just thinking,
we could win this thing.
Well, yeah, but like it started hitting me because I'm like, all right, like we're getting scoring right now from everybody.
Yeah.
Every line is scoring.
Yeah.
And scoring like a decent amount.
Guys. Yeah.
Like I'm like, and then I'm like, all right. And then we started getting timely goals too, right? Like there was that one game, like we got worked for like 4 minutes straight. We come down and score.
Pink. Yeah.
Right. And it happened twice in 2 different games where we got worked for like 5 minutes straight, and then we come down and score. I'm thinking,
we didn't play from behind the whole weekend, I don't think. Other than the semifinal game.
The semifinals.
The semifinal game we played. That was the first little taste of adversity.
Yeah, like that's when it started to hit me. I'm like, all right, we're getting scoring from every line, and a lot of it from every line. And and we're getting timely goals too.
Yeah.
Like that's like the makeup of the championship team. I'm like, maybe we're gonna have a shot at this. And then
kind of like how Florida looked in that Ranger series.
What is that? Oh, Florida and Rangers.
Yeah. Just scoring from everybody.
Yeah.
The Rangers had scoring from nobody.
It's what it takes. Like you look at any team, I think that wins, championships. I think they're like everybody's contributing. I mean, how could you not?
Yeah, I think the playoffs is when guys. There's some guys that are just playoff guys, and there's some guys that are just not playoff guys. Like it's like they're regular season heroes, but when it comes time to like really, like Barclay Goodrow has showed that like 2 series in a row, right? Like obviously the Rangers didn't win and the rest of the team didn't play well, but he was like a key piece to that Tampa team winning, right? And then he was a pretty key 2 overtime goals, or no, was it 1 overtime winner? Right. And then I think was the game tire the night before. Something like that in front of the net. So, I mean, they're the role guys, like that's where I think even when you look at Vegas, right, their first year coming out of the expansion draft, like those guys were just role guys and they made it all the way to the cup final. Right. And like they were just, there wasn't the big, $8.5 million a year guy, or 6 of them on the same team trying to, compete with basketball for the dream teams. Right. But like just guys that were plucked from every nook and cranny around the league and really, really did a good job at playing their role. Right. I mean, look at Shea Theodore really like kind of arose like as a top defenseman in the NHL for the next couple years out of that cup. Right. Like Colin Miller was the top guy in the power play there. Like he kind of, had a hiatus here, but came back with the Devils and played well at the end of this year. But like just role guys in general, right? William Karlsson, right?
Yeah. Like when the role guys are doing well, like especially like when all 4 lines are contributing, it's almost like how do you lose?
It's tough.
right? Like when you think about it, if all four lines contribute, I mean,
problem,
like if all four lines are genuinely like if every line scores a goal, that means you scored 4 goals. How many games are you going to lose when you score 4 goals?
not very many. Not
You know,
hot.
like it's almost like it's almost like
Depends on what league you play in. Maybe in the O, but
okay.
I said maybe in the O if you score 4, you lose. I mean, those guys are just flying around all night.
You should win it. You score 4 goals, I'd say you're winning.
No, I agree. I'm just being
like
more of a skill league.
The Quebec Major Junior League. That one, maybe you'll probably find more games
Top of fifth.
4 and
yeah,
or or USPHL Premier. I mean, it seems like a 15 goal lead might not be safe.
Yeah, 30. What did we talk about the other day? It was 30.
37-1. Bill and I talked about that last week. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah, buddy, like that.
It doesn't seem possible.
But that shouldn't be allowed to happen. It should
I don't
not
know.
be that. There's no place.
If I
There's
coach,
no place for that.
but all right. So who are you saying should have not allowed it? Like,
I'm saying the league should tell this team that you're not allowed to play in the league anymore. You just got 36th. Like you
36th.
Yeah, like all right. Dude, I'll put it this way.
It's a blowout in football.
Yeah.
Like forget baseball. It's a blowout in
baseball. Baseball, it's breaking records. It's a blowout in football, 100%. But like you gotta wonder, like what is the if you're the league, right? Like what do you say to that team like the next day? Like, hey, like I would love to know, and we probably should have looked at this prior, but I would love to know what the game was for that team to score prior to that. Maybe the 5 games prior to that.
I mean, it was like, definitely a lot closer. But.
No, I'm saying, but are they getting blown out 12-1, 15-1? Then all of a sudden they're like, fuck this, 36-1. We're not even going to play today.
I'm not sure. I don't know what could have possibly happened. I mean,
and are you that bad where if a team, like, I would think, me personally, if I'm behind the bench, I'm telling my guys to shoot the puck in the corner or dump it in every time we get over the red, right?
I wouldn't. I would tell them to keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
At what point though?
I would never tell them to stop. And the reason why I would never tell them to stop,
Swanny, is we would be fucking throwing. I'd be throwing fucking water bottles at you across the fucking bench.
I wouldn't care. I'd be
rifling.
It'd be like 75-1. But
yeah,
no, a big reason why I would never tell them to stop is because at the end of the day, those kids are playing for something, and they're paying to play. Right? They're paying to showcase themselves for the next level. I would never tell them to stop showing what they got.
Okay, fair.
That's it, right? Why would I tell a kid like you never know who's watching, So
they're not watching the 36-1 game. They ain't coming to that one.
Nah, I mean, listen. I imagine anybody who was watching online would have shut it off, but like I would never. At these levels, it's. I would never tell a kid to stop showcasing what he's got, right? Especially when that's what the league sells, right? The league sells, hey, the showcase, the ability to move yourself on. Well, you can't sell the showcase and the ability to move yourself on, and then the next breath say, hey, tone it down. I think.
No, I'm not even saying tone it down though. Like what I'm saying, okay, maybe a little bit. I'm saying tone it down, but what I mean by that is like. I'm not saying if we dump it in and we regain possession and you go low to high and there's a guy sitting back door, cocked and ready to put it in the net, like you're gonna move the puck. I'm not saying just don't make plays. What I'm saying is let's not come over the line 4-on-2 for the next 20 minutes and just obliterate these guys. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'd probably just let them do it because again, like because here's the way I look at it too. Somebody screwed up, and it wasn't my guys, so they're not going to take the hit for this. I'm not going to stop them from playing. Right? There's got to be accountability somewhere, but it's not any of my guys.
Yeah,
But
I'm saying, so you wouldn't care if you ripped it, like if it was 102 to nothing.
No, who cares?
Oh. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how that game doesn't end in an absolute gong show. Then I'd love to know the penalty minutes.
I don't think there was much, and like, look, I feel bad for that team. I really do. Like
I'm asking you, you're a goalie, right?
Yeah.
36-1. Those guys keep coming and stopping on your net, and you're not fucking paddling the shit out of one of them.
I don't know. I think I'd be too pissed off at myself. Like, I don't think I'd be worried about
If
that.
it was your
Point.
fault.
I think I'd be like,
goals can't be the goalie's fault.
No, but at the same time, if you look at, I don't remember what the shots were, but the shots didn't match 37-1. I don't think the shots broke 100.
Yeah, that's troubling for the goaltenders, and it might be all the fucking goalie's fault.
You know,
it sounds like that.
You know, I mean, like, and it's, I mean, I don't know, like I feel bad for them, like I really do. And with all this said, like I really don't think they got blown out the whole season. I think this game was like a crazy anomaly. Like I really don't think they were.
That's insane.
I don't think they were, near that. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think they got blown out remotely close to that all season. Like I think
the other team just happened to pick every corner.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was a perfect storm. I mean, like, look, if they were blown, and here's the thing because again, too, like, cause I've seen mixed things about this online, like where some people say, like this discussion, some people would say, hey, we're laughing at the kids that played on that team, right? Like nobody's like, this is the thing that people have to kind of
have anybody, but it's just,
well, they have to have the realization. Nobody's saying that you're, like, if that team really did get blown out all season long, right? Like, if you're getting blown out by 10, 15, 20 goals all season long, like, nobody's saying you're bad players. You were just in the wrong spot. You're not placed appropriately. Whether
you probably falls on the organization, right?
What do you say?
Which probably falls on either the advisor or probably both the advisor and the organization or the kid.
And the players and the parents, everybody that didn't do their homework, right? Because one or two things should have happened. Either the kid should have been placed with a different team that was going to be successful, right? Or if no other team that was going to be successful would have taken the kid, it means the kid's at the wrong level, right? Maybe the kid should have been playing U16 AAA for you, right? Not playing Premier in junior, right? Like, so again, like, it's not saying that, like, hey, those kids suck at hockey. Like, no, nobody's saying that. At least I'm not saying that. I know you're not saying that. Right? It's not that they suck at hockey. They're just, if they're getting blown out repeatedly, they're just placed incorrectly. That's all. Right? And that's why doing your homework and being placed correctly and all this stuff is so important, because it completely changes the outcome and the experience that you have. Right? By being placed correctly, instead of having a disaster of a season where you're saying, hey, man, everybody says I suck, I do suck, we're getting killed by 20 goals, 10 goals, whatever it is, right? The mistake was made way before that. If you were placed correctly, you could be having success, you could be having a great season, you could be having the time of your life and making great memories, right? Like all the stuff that we were just talking about, know? And so that's why the placement is so important, and the decision making and doing your homework, doing your research and all that stuff is just so important.
I think the 100% agree, Swan, before I move on. 100, I think, like, couldn't have answered that better. The one thing I will say is I think at what point does it fall on the hockey community where we keep on expanding these opportunities to guys that are just not adequate enough, which is okay if you're not adequate enough, right? But like and I'm not saying that group of guys can't play in a junior league, but not as a group.
No, and they might not be able to play in a junior league, and that's okay. Like, or maybe they should be playing in the next level down in a junior league, right? Maybe.
What I'm saying is, like, what does that do? Like, again, you're talking about placement, you're talking about the leagues and what they're trying to develop. Like, what does that do for other players in that league if you're going in to play? If you're playing that team 4 times a year, you're paying for a league where you're really not getting any value out of one team. So now you're not really getting value for what you're paying for, right? So like, at what point?
100%.
And I think, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, hockey is just kind of like exploded, And again, I don't want to say it shouldn't expand. I think it should expand to other regions, and I think to grow the game is overall a very good thing to happen. But I think we really need to like really gauge on who's playing where, because I feel like you watch these teams, like there was never ever a score when I played of 37-1
No,
in a junior league. In like an actual, maybe a summer hockey event where you got misplaced and you played in the elite division, you were dog shit and you're playing a bomb squad, maybe. But 37-1 in a regular season game in a
NHL hits pro.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying for you to lose by 36 goals in a regular season tier 3 junior game in the US is kind of embarrassing.
It's past the point of embarrassing.
I'm like, I agree, but what I'm saying is like
I agree with you.
Embarrassing. Like why are they allowing it to happen? And I get it, expansion, money, business, whatever, right? But like, I don't know. How do you funnel? Just like we kind of talked about, like with the major junior, like how do we squeeze the opening of this like delta of guys flowing into the wrong spots? You know what I mean? Like
it's got to start with the players and the parents. Like that's the only way, right? The players and the parents.
But that's not going to change.
Then it's never going to change, because here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
The teams in the leagues will stop beating the dead horse when it stops spitting out money.
Correct.
So as long as it's spitting out money, it's going to keep going.
And I think the premise of what I was trying to get along is like, it's expanding into a bit, which it is. And a lot of teams do the right thing and they end up having, successful year-over-year turnover, right?
Yeah,
but
there's some great tier 3 programs out there.
There's great tier 2 programs. Yeah. Like, and I'm talking about like not even like tier 2 junior. I'm talking even like tier 2 U18. Like there's some great programs that just don't have the charter, right? But like, it's crazy to me that in a junior league where guys pay to play, you're losing 37-1. Like honestly, I play men's league, right? Like, and we're gliding around and there's some really dog shit. Like I've never seen a score of a differential be like worse than maybe 10-6.
Yeah, it almost doesn't seem possible. Like just like the amount of time.
The guy was putting on the wrong side of the board or putting the period up in the
front. I had to check it. Like I was gonna comment on it like when it first happened. I'm like, I don't think this is right. And before I look like an idiot posting something online that isn't true. Like but then like I see it, then I see it everywhere. I'm like, this actually happened. Like this is crazy. I mean, like it just doesn't seem feasible. Like honestly, like if the NHL team played an SP team, I don't think they win 37-1.
Well, correct, and that's what I'm getting at. Like how bad are you allowing things to squeak by just because they're paying, to buy a charter? And again, is it? See, that's where I kind of pause a little bit because.
And I do think it was an anomaly. Like I don't think.
But that's a bad fucking anomaly.
Oh, it's real bad.
That's bad. That's like hitting 300 for 10 years and not hitting a ball, fouling it off the whole season.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad, right? But I think the reason why I say I pause at that is the organization is the people that are trying to buy the charter and buy into this league. Right. The onus is really on them to know what they're getting into and knowing what they have to kind of doing their homework, like you said, and knowing what player skill that they have to provide on a depth chart of 20 to 23 guys in order to be competitive. You don't have to win the league or make the playoffs year one, but you sure as hell should be around 500 or maybe a few games under. You shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like if you're, I don't know, let's say you play 44 games and you're 20 or I don't know, 17 and 16, right? Something like that. 17 and 17.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're 500.
Yeah. Something respectable. I mean,
you know what I mean? 10 and 24.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
at least it's
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying is like the league, I guess, it's really the organization, because the league's going to say, okay, we're giving you an opportunity
Right. And I think the league can revoke the charter. I don't know how old this org. I don't remember what team it was, but like the league should be able to like there should be milestones that you have to hit in order to keep an active charter.
Yeah,
your first 3 years or whatever.
Agreed. But when does
like I'm saying, I think that's how it is. I think those are the rules in the USPHL. I think there's like certain win percentages you have to hit or they take your charter.
The thing is though is like
I think in the first 3 years of existence
prevent the watering down of this. Like can't they? I mean, obviously the simple answer is yes, right? They can, but will they?
No, I don't think
so. Or is expansion too good for business and the play is really just, a subsidiary of doing business and whatever it is.
I mean, I think I think it's all about the expansion. I think if they had 10 new owners that wanted to buy a team tonight, I think they would give them a team tonight. That's just my opinion. I could be
but that I think is a problem. That's like not vetting, like you're letting people in. Yeah. Right, you're letting people into your company. You're letting people, like even if you're a real estate owner, right, and you're letting somebody in as your tenant and not doing your homework. Like at the end of the day, that's why I say it's kind of weird for me because I see it from the league perspective and I see it from the team perspective. Well, like you're letting this player in and you don't know if you know what I mean. And again, maybe it's a first time thing and it just went, and maybe it's an anomaly and maybe we're wasting too much time on the topic, but it seems to me like there's a lot of bad teams. Like you look at the Brooklyn Aviators.
Yeah.
Like they're a bad team. They're a really, really bad
team. They're terrible this year. I mean, I feel it,
and it's like one, again, I don't want to point organizations out, right? But like, at what time do you tell these people, hey, like junior at this level is not, it's just not for you. Go to the USPHL Elite, right? At least drop them a league, right? Because the 36-1 was in, or 37-1 was in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was Premier.
And the Elite.
And the thing is too, is that like, even if you forget all about that 37-1 game, there were so many games that were out of hand, like not 37-1 out of hand, but there was like 22-0, 18-1, like
like that,
like embarrassing scores. Like the 37-1 was definitely the worst, but there was a lot of games that got out of hand, and that's why people have to do their homework, because there was teams that got that had to get the shit kicked out of them like that all season long.
Yeah, and it again, like it's like how. First of all, I see guys re-signing to go back there to their teams that they were, and I'm not going to mention them, but watch guys re-signing to go back to a horrible scenario, right? And again, maybe they're getting new guys, but I would be very, very shocked that, a year that you go 0 maybe 1-30 something, that you have a flood of high-level guys coming in like we know that that's not happening. Right.
It's hard. It's real hard. I mean, look, hopefully they could turn it down, right? Like, obviously, we wish everybody the best. Like,
100%. I want the best for the players.
What I say, turn it down, I meant turn it around.
Yeah, turn it around.
Yeah.
I want what's best for the players, but I think when you allow teams to conduct themselves, like they should just fold for that year. Don't put a team in. Like it's the same thing, like with and even there's like a relegation kind of in the youth here where it's like, you at least at our level, right? If you are good at, like the Washington Little Caps were only at elite last year.
Yeah.
Right. So now, like they were good. They won the league and now they're going to play Premier and Elite 18. But they were able to get themselves in that way. Just same thing with Wilkes-Barre, right? They were able to put it in. There's other ways to do it. You can show your roster, and show where the guys have been coming from, all that stuff. But that's the right way to do it. Not just like, poof, I bought a team and I'm going to just corral the herd of any, who's who. And then again, because like you said, it does end up on the player and the parent and everybody that's involved in the entire nucleus of the situation. But it's just like, come on, somebody like raise their hand and be like, doesn't this seem a little fucked up? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and like, my question is like, if you're on a team where things are going bad, right? And like, it's just day in, day out, you're getting your ass beat. Like,
uncle.
Like, how do you stay? Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like especially
how they resign.
Like especially how they forget about even resigning. Like if at Christmas, how do you not say like, hey, like I gave this an honest shot. This wasn't what it was supposed to be. We've won one game. We've given up 150 goals.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave and go to a different tier 3 league because everybody's pretty much self-governing now and I don't need a trade. I could just pick up and go. Right. And I say that like, I thought about that a little bit before I said it because I also think that there's a lot of players that do hop team to team for no reason, right? And they're just like one little thing doesn't go their way, and I'm packing my stuff, I'm out of here, right? Like
that's 1,000%.
Like you can't be like that, but like at a certain point, like if you gave something a good, honest shot, and it's not what it was supposed to be, leave. How do you stay, right? And how do you keep paying for that?
Yeah,
like these years are critical. Like everybody out there that has a goal, has a dream, like these years are critical. Like you can't just piss them away. You can't just, you can't just say, oh, we'll do over next year. There are no do-overs. You're behind now, right? Like you have to somehow make that ground up. It's not just like, okay, the year's over. We're just going to pretend like it didn't happen. No, it happened. And you're behind because it happened. Right. Yeah. So again, going back to the placement and all the decision making, it's so important because it just starts that downward spiral. Like at the end of the day, and I say this to a lot of guys, like, because let me give you a situation I deal with a lot. So I'll have a player that, let's say we're talking about, situation A, level A, level B, level C. They can't make level A, but they want to play at level A, right? They're doing everything they can to play at level A.
Yep.
And then it doesn't work out. And there's a great situation for them in level B, but they're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go to level C. It's close to home. I got buddies playing there, yada, yada, whatever reason. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, if level B was your next step and what you needed to move on, you still have to do that. You don't get to say at the end of the year, hey, I went to level C. I realized I screwed up. I should have went to level B. All right, now let me try to go to level A. No. You still have to rip up level B. You didn't do that. You're in the same situation that you were a year ago. You're just a year older now, right? You still didn't make any forward progress, right? And and again, like obviously there's every situation is different, but there's a lot of players that find themselves in that situation. They don't ever take those steps forward, and at the end of the year, they realize it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't do what was right. I should have did that." Okay, well, yeah, but now you got to go do that now.
Yeah,
right. It's not just a free pass, like, "Oh, I learned my lesson." No, now you got to pay the price.
Dude, it's incredible. It's incredible how what you just said might be one of the most important things that guys don't understand. Yeah, honestly, like from a league perspective, like. Again, it's the acronym leagues, the USHL, the NAHL, the this, that, the other thing, right? Like guys are like, oh, well, I played tier 2 in Montana. I mean, I'm saying tier 2 like U18 or U16, right? Youth hockey. And I'm gonna go play in the NA next year. It's like, hang on. First, you got to play AAA. Then you got to go play in, and dominate AAA.
Yeah, you got to dominate.
And then maybe you have a chance to make one of those teams.
Right, because being an average AAA player doesn't get you to the NA or the USHL. Being an average AAA player, well, okay, you're a AAA player. They don't want AAA players in the NA or the USHL.
Correct. And the thing is like I hear guys, oh, I'm gonna go play NCDC. I'm gonna go play. I'm like, guys, like, I love you. You're a great kid, and you're a good hockey player. You're just not ready yet. You haven't dominated our league. How are you going to go play in the NA? Watch a game. I keep saying this. Watch a game.
I say it every year. Educate yourself. Watch a game in person if you can.
Right. In person, it would be awesome because you can see the level and the skill and everything. I mean, it's just I don't know.
And here's the thing too. Like you got to be able to read the room, right? And like I'm not saying don't try. I'm not saying give up just because things aren't going your way. But you have to also be able to read the room, right? So if you're a player and your goal is to play in the NA, right? but you don't have a single offer in the NCDC or for a top AAA team.
You're probably not making the NA.
Right. Why? Right. How does that work? So if you can't play one level below, if you don't even have an offer one level below the NA,
yeah,
or 2 levels below the NA, either one, like at a high end team, you almost don't even have to waste your time going to the NA camp. Right. You're just not there yet. And that's okay. Right. It's like you have to be able to read the room. Like, or same thing with the USPHL, like with the NCDC and stuff, right? So you have the the NCDC, the Premier, and the Elite. If you're a player that you've been offered 4 or 5 elite spots, and all those organizations, they're telling you you're going to play on their elite team, you're not going to play on their Premier team, you're going to play on their elite team, you probably shouldn't be spending too much time going to NCDC camps.
Agreed.
Right? Like it's almost like an easy, hey, all right, I see it. I don't have to spend time and money here, or I'm going to do it once, not 5 times. Right? Like you got to be able to read the room, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And and because listen, like obviously, like, it's not news that any player wants to get. Like they don't want to hear that, but the quicker you accept it and the quicker you realize where you're at, the quicker you can get to work doing something that's going to actually matter and actually help you move towards your goal. Right? Like like you want to get somewhere, you have to have a starting point. Right? So the quicker you can identify your starting point, right? It'd be like if I told you to meet me in Florida and I dumped you out of an airplane somewhere and didn't tell you where you were. The sooner you figure out where you are, the sooner you're going to get to Florida to meet me. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I mean, it's like stuff like that's important for these guys.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. Just being being realistic and knowing where you're at.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, though. Like for a lot of people, and it should be. But at the same time, you can't be the guy, like I think how he started this conversation off is like, you can't be the guy who, talks the talk, but doesn't walk the walk.
Right. Yeah. You gotta have realistic expectations based off of what you're putting in, right? Make sure your actions match your words.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm sure you've seen it, 1,000 times too. You see people that say all type, players that say all the right things, but the actions aren't matching the words.
No.
Like it's, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's, obviously we all just want to see everybody succeed, I mean,
yeah, I don't, but by all, by any means, none of the comments that I made are to say that I hope that team,
no, of course not.
Does continuously awful, but I think that it has to be something pointed out that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, if you could just like this game is so, like, in a way it's so simple, right? But everybody, like, and I say this all the time, that hockey is no different than anything else in life, right? It's so simple when you look at it, but for some reason, like, when people look at hockey, they take all life logic and just toss it right out the window.
Yeah.
Right? Like the whole process, like just like players are offered spots for tier 3 teams and it seems like it's very easy to go tier 3. The same thing happens at tier 2. The same thing happens in the NA. Right? Like if you're an NA player, it's easy to go to the NA.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just like you're getting, just like a lot of guys are getting those tier 3 offers and, hey, please come here. Well, they're willing to bend over backwards. They're cutting tuition. They're letting guys play for free. They're rolling out the red carpet. Same thing happens in the NA. Same thing happens in the USHL. It happens everywhere. If you're qualified for that league, it's it's much easier to get there. And if you're a high end guy in that league, it's easy to get there. Like, teams are fighting over you.
Yeah, I think that the perception is just skewed, man, and it's going to take I don't know if it'll ever catch up, honestly, because the new player pool comes in and the same expectations and and again, I know we talked about the camps and the over invitations and yada, 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 but at the same time, like, I get that, but that's part of the marketing of the business, right? And it's the same way that you could, buy an Apple phone because you keep on seeing their, you think that the Apple's the best one, really maybe Android is.
Right.
Right. Or maybe you don't need an Apple phone. You need a flip phone.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, and it's honestly
It's a nature of the beast. Like, you have to know your shit before you decide to, get in bed with it. You know
yeah.
what I
And
mean?
honestly, like a lot of the camp invitations that go out now, I don't even view them as invitations anymore. I do, as you just said, I view them as marketing pieces. Like I view them as, because like I don't even think they're trying to hide it anymore, right? Like because like, and I'm really surprised that more people don't see it, right? Because like a lot of the players I work with, like they'll all send me, they'll just forward me all their camp stuff, right? It's like I'll go through it all, and I mean some of the stuff I get is absurd, right?
Yeah.
Like and a lot of it, it has like at the bottom it says like, oh, sent from constant contact. Click here to unsubscribe. And I tell people, I'm like, guys, like constant contact. I use that for my marketing. Like
Yeah.
that's a marketing website.
Yeah.
Like you can unsubscribe from that, just like you can unsubscribe from my stuff.
Yeah.
Like when it's like that, like it came from constant contact. It's a mass email, right? And you could do the same thing with text messages, right? I could do the same thing. I could send out mass texts to everybody if I want to,
Yeah.
right? Like like and but yeah, like, and another telltale sign that like a lot of people don't realize, like you look at some of these emails, the coach will send it to himself, and then the player and the family are blind copied on it, right? And I explained to him like, this email wasn't sent to you. This email was sent from the coach to himself, and you weren't even copied on it. You were blind copied on it. Now, why were you blind copied on it? Because when you're blind copied, you can't see who else was blind copied, right? So there could be 1,000 kids on this email, right? It's like there's little things like that like you start to look for, and you start to realize like, okay, this wasn't sent to me. Okay, this is, hey, I can click here to unsubscribe, and then just some of the wording of
Yeah.
some of these emails, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's really getting nuts.
I mean, listen, it's just what it is, right? At this point. And
Yeah, well,
I
exactly.
think
It is.
that like you need to just, and I don't think that all, like, think if you want to go, the prospect camps I think are fine, the main camps I think are fine, but like you have to understand, like if you want to go there and see what other guys are competing, no problem.
Yeah,
Right?
they're all
Main
fine
camp
when
you
used
might,
correctly.
yeah, main camp you might, if you're a little bit closer getting invited there, right? But don't have the expectation that you're just gonna, it's not like a fucking youth tryout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just have the expectation that like you're going to gauge yourself. These are some other guys that were invite only, right? And like, you just try and perform and see where you're at. Talk to the staff afterward, and they'll let you know where you're at, right? But like, you can't go in there. I think a lot of people go in there and they're like, we have a shot at this, and it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Well, they
And
always
it's
have a
not
shot.
because,
Like
well, yeah, I guess you could say they have a shot, right? But you have to have your best day.
well,
Your
you have
best
to
day.
realize that you're what I find, my opinion is that too many guys go in, they get these emails saying that they're basically highly sought after prospects, and they go into these events thinking, I got this in the bag. They want me. I basically just got to show up, shake some hands, kiss some babies, right?
Yeah.
When that's the wrong mentality. They have to understand that, hey, like, if you're going to one of these, NA or USHL camps, by the time main camp rolls around, you know, they've already got a lot of guys. Like if you look at the NA,
Yeah.
they draft till they hit 30, right? They could only, after Blaine, they got to be down to 23, right? So like before Blaine, they got to get down to 25. After Blaine, they got to get down to 23. So after the draft, they're at 30. So before main camp even starts, every team already has 7 guys too many. There's no spots, right?
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, like, before the draft, teams are looking for players. After the draft, teams are looking for upgrades, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go to that main camp and you have to steal a spot. You got to steal somebody's spot.
Yeah.
Right? Like you got to, so it definitely can be done, but you have to know what the mission is if you're going to accomplish it.
100%.
Like it's
I
just.
mean, I think that's what it is, though. That's the mission. is understanding what the mission, like
Yeah,
understanding that the mission that you're on is a very, very, you've prepped and prepped and prepped and prepped for this mission, and there's
exactly. It
not
goes back.
very many things that can go wrong, and or it's catastrophic.
Yeah,
Right?
and it goes back full circle to what we were saying at the beginning. What you were saying about guys not wanting to skate during the summer, not wanting to train, not wanting to put the hours in.
Simple.
Right? Like you have a big mission ahead of you. And even if everything's going great, even if you're a guy that's drafted USHL and you're going to walk onto the USHL team, well, you're still trying to get to college. You're still trying to get to the National Hockey League. There's still a ton of work to be done.
100%. And I think that comes down to like what you said, skating and the reps. There's a lot of guys that just, even when they're skating in the summer, like I always bring kids. I swear, I bring kids in to a knee every time in summer skates. I'm like, guys, two things. First one, don't waste my fucking time. I'm not coming out here to watch you do a dangle fest. Right? It's not what I'm out here for. That's the first thing. Second thing, don't waste your own time, which is probably just as important as my time. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely just as important as my time. Right? And like, I watch this summer hockey and it's just dang. I'm like, why don't you guys actually skate and compete? You're building cardio, because right now you're building bad habits.
Yes.
You're building nothing but bad habits. And then when you get to training camp and then the first month of the season, we're breaking those bad habits that you could have broke 3 months earlier and had success in the first month to push you a little bit closer to where you want to be and where you're able to get to. But you're just lazy. And you don't think honestly, I think it's laziness and it's ignorance. Right?
Yeah, and here's going to be the real shocker too. Like some of these guys that think they train and this is like, and you just hit it. Like you're never, every time you're on the ice, you're either getting better or getting worse. You're never staying the same, right? So like you can go on the ice, and if you're just, who cares, like, and you're not developing good habits, you almost were better off not training.
Yeah.
But it's and again, like obviously there's a time and a place, like maybe you're just going out for a skate with some friends one day, but that shouldn't be every day. Maybe okay, maybe once a week you're playing a Sunday morning pickup with 10 friends. You guys are playing 3-on-3 on a mini rink or whatever, having some fun. Okay, cool. But the rest of the week, like, you should be working your ass off, right? Because if you're developing poor muscle memory, like I said, you could argue that you'd be better off being a lazy guy that's not even there.
Dude, I used to, in the summertime, I would go to the gym. I would get done. I would, crush legs. I would crush like explosive workouts, box jumps. And then I would go to a goalie session in my tracksuit. Sometimes I would go like half gear just to feel like what it's like to get half dressed, right, and still work on stuff. Shoot, I don't know, a couple hundred pucks in that goalie session, right? Then go to free ice before practice, get fully dressed, put myself through a cardio workout, then go to practice, and then go to the team workout in the summertime. Like that, I'm my whole day is consumed with, and honestly, the 2 years that I did that and that was my routine, I had the best 2 career years of my hockey career, right? Yeah. And I felt that I earned it, right? Yeah, and for sure. I think a lot of thing is confidence is earned. People don't really understand that. Like, you have to put in the work so much and earn it yourself that your muscle memory and everything breeds confidence. You are so confident in your craft because you've been there time and time again, and you've replicated it time and time again that you're confident now. If you, there's no way you're going to get confident by, pulling a toe drag in, a non-contact open hockey game. Like,
I don't know. I've seen some players that are pretty confident pulling the toe drag all areas of the ice.
Yeah, it might be me, but I'm just saying, like,
I've seen
again,
it's come back.
That's the non.
Why did you think it was going to work?
Exactly, but the thing is that's a non-contact game, right? I know I'm not going to get exploded, right? Maybe,
right?
if I showed some guy up, but that's like, and the thing is like, it's not really, you should, the young kids, look at how many times a toe drag is performed at the higher levels of hockey. It usually ends with a highlight reel goal, or it's not really seen, right? A lot of guys are to the outside. They're using their strength. They're using their center of gravity. They're punch turning. They're protecting the puck. It's not flashy.
Yeah, it's all the basics, and then you put the, you know, and then there's a layer of the high end skill on top of it. But all the basics have to come first. Like that's why like it cracks me up too sometimes. Like you see some guys like, you know, working on all this stuff at training sessions, but it's like, can you catch a pass, please?
Dude,
Can you make a pass?
passing might be
Can
the
you
second most important skill at the next level.
Yeah, and I've seen older guys at U18 level can't get through a drill, can't do it. Like they want to work on all this crazy stuff, they can't get through a drill.
They can't make it. They can't make a 20-foot pass. Tape.
No, pucks flying all over the place. No communication. Head down. Just like everything that as a scout you would just be like, next. Like,
yeah.
You know,
but they want to work on the toe drag release and the punch turn underneath the bridge. It's like, buddy, we're just moving the pawn. We haven't touched our queen yet. Like,
right? It's
one
not
step at a time. You know what I mean?
Like,
like,
there's nowhere to go. It's not going to end well.
Yeah, like we got little steps to take before we free up the other ones.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
this might be the longest.
It is. It was the longest, like 20 minutes ago. I think. Yeah,
you know what the funny thing is? The funny thing is, last thing I'll say is that we started this saying, "Oh, we're just gonna let it run," and let it happen. Again, I told you, I said the organic stuff. Just we're gonna be able to talk about anything and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think for
we're gonna win this.
Total, the episode was good, very good episode. Touched on a lot of things that I honestly wasn't even thinking about talking about. So,
what did you say?
So we touched on a lot of things that I wasn't even really prepared or honestly thinking about talking about, but they just naturally came out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was it was good. It was definitely a good, great conversation. And yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Guys will be next Thursday, right back at it, 9 p.m. Eastern. Every Thursday, and check out the Swan Hockey website. Follow Swan Hockey across social media. Follow Jimmy Skillz across social media. It's @_Jimmy Skillz. Is that for everything, or is that just Instagram?
Just Instagram.
Just Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, I got to get my TikTok going.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So, guys, connect with us there. SwanHockey.com. You'll see the community tools there, the Discord, the Scout Central. Again, a lot of really cool things in the works here that are hopefully going to be released very shortly. So just keep following along. Again, join the Discord. I know it's new for a lot of people, but trust me, once you get the hang of it, it's gonna be good. And you're gonna be like, why didn't I do this before? So yeah. So guys, that's it. Jimmy, always a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody, good night, and I will see you guys soon.